If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Adeptus Custodes What's Winning Right Now Roundup. This video is a roundup of all the Adeptus Custodes list in the channel's What's Winning Right Now series over the past year. These are lists that have won grand tournaments with the Adeptus Custodes. We have lists from 4 out of our 6 detachments. Some of these lists will need to be added to or taken away from, depending on how the points have changed for the list. I will do my best to make the changes fit the theme of the list. As much as I like the Alaris and the Custodian Guard, I can't jam them in every list. The first episode was a rough concept, going over Folger Pyle's World Championship Adeptus Custodes winning list. We will start with that Talons of the Emperor list. How we will do this is we will take a look at the list at the current price. If they do need some fixes, we will fix those lists at the current price points. Here is Folger Pyle's Talons of the Emperor World Champion Tournament winning list. Right now it comes to 2,040 points. This list won the tournament in November 2024. The Warlord was a Blade Champion. His other characters is 2 more Blade Champions. No enhancements on any of those characters. Battle line was a unit of 4 Custodian Guard. For the other data sheets was 3 units of 5 Custodian Wardens with Guardian Spears and a Vexilla in each one of those units. 2 Callidius Grav tanks with a Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon. 2 units of 4 Witchseekers. A unit of 4 Prosecutors. Dedicated transport, he had a Psychona Rhino. And for the allied unit, he had Inquisitor Draxus. The changes to this list were quite simple. We just dropped 4 prosecutors to bring the list down to 2,000 points exactly as of October 2025. Episode 2 was another Talons of the Emperor list, won by Nicholas in January 2025. Right now his list comes to 2,025 points. His Warlord was a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike with the Aegis Projector enhancement. The other characters, he had 2 Blade Champions with no enhancements. For the other datasheets was 2 units of 5 Custodian Wardens, 5 Guardian Spears and a Vexilla in each one of those units, 2 Callidius Grav tanks with the Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannons, 2 units of 3 Virtus Praetors, each one of those units had 3 salvo launchers, 2 units of 4 Witchseekers, a unit of 4 Prosecutors, for the dedicated transport, a Psychona Rhino. We had to drop some points for this list. I dropped the enhancement and I changed 2 units of 4 Witchseekers to 2 units of 4 Prosecutors. The path to victory for this list, Game 1 was against the Blood Angels, a 90-23 win. Game 2 was against the Space Marines, 92-42. Game 3 was against the Grey Knights, a close 79-72 win. Game 4 was against the Tyranids. Nicholas got a perfect score of 100 against the 80 from the Tyranids. Finally, Game 5 against the Death Guard was a 95-65 win. The Adeptus Custodes win the GT with a 5-0 record with a total of 456 points out of 500. This to me is a primary scoring list with some good secondary scoring, but the bikes allow Nicholas to be much more aggressive. The bikes have a movement of 12 inches, they do have to go around terrain, however the fly keyword allows them to move over screens. This gives the list a much bigger threat range, especially with 2 units of Virtus Praetors. It still has enough Psychona units to do secondary actions and spread the Null Aegis 5+ Phenal Pain to Mortal 6-inch Aura when it needs it. A lot of his games were wins with scores of 90+. Seems once he gained primary control, he never let it go, and then used the speed and chaff of the army to rack up secondary points. The Wardens are tough as nails, and so are the Virtus Praetors now, at toughness 7 and 5 wounds a model, with the stratagems for movement and to boost the overall damage of the list. A list with a tanky backbone with speed to pressure when the list needs to be aggressive. Episode 3, we seen our first Solar Spearhead win by Cameron Giles. This win was in January 2025. Currently the list is 2,080 points. His Warlord was a Blade Champion with the Adamantine Talisman enhancement. The other character was a Telamon Heavy Dreadnought with the Augury Uplink enhancement with the Arachna Storm Cannon and the Telamon Fist weapon. For the other datasheets was a unit of 4 Custodian Wardens with 4 Spears and a Vexilla, 3 Venerable Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the Multi-Melta and the Combat weapon, another Telamon Heavy Dreadnought with another Arachna Storm Cannon and the Fist weapon, 2 units of 4 Prosecutors, 2 Callidius Grav tanks with the Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannons. For his allied units, he had a Calidus Assassin and an Eversor Assassin. To get this list to 2,000 points, I dropped the Wardens and brought in a 4-man unit of Custodian Guard to join it with a Blade Champion, and I dropped the 2 units of 4 prosecutors for a 4 model unit of witch seekers. That will bring the list to 2,000 points. The path to victory for this list: Game 1 was against the Eldari, that was a 65-45 win. Game 2 was against the World Eaters, a 97-54 win. Game 3 was the World Eaters again, an 89-69 win. Game 4 against the Death Guard, 71-54. Finally, Game 5 was against the Orcs, an 86-79 win. The Adeptus Custodes win the GT with a 5-0 record. Cameron got a total of 408 points out of 500. The game plan for this list: the Solar Spearhead Dreadnought Heavy list are a mid-board point deny army. The Telemons and Venerable are to overwhelm the enemy with units they can't kill fast enough. A Dreadnought stat check list with some tricks. An enemy on objective with OC 5 to OC 10, charge the Telemon in to punch out just enough to steal the objective. Use the Dreadnoughts to put constant pressure on objectives and the enemy scoring units. Episode 4 was a Shield Host list by Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics. This list right now is 1,940 points. His Warlord was a Blade Champion with no enhancements. For the other characters, he did have a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with the Panoptic Specs enhancement with Hurricane Bolters, and another Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with Hurricane Bolters and no enhancement. For his battle line, he had a unit of 4 Custodian Guard, 2 Guardian Spears, 1 Sword and Board, and 1 Vexilla, Shield, and Misericordia. For his other units, he had 2 units of 3 Alaris Custodians with the Guardian Spears, 3 units of 2 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters, a unit of 3 Venatari with the Lances, and another unit of 6 Venatari with 5 Lances and 1 Kinetic Destroyer and the Tarsus Buckler. His final unit was a unit of 4 Witch Seekers. I added a few simple things to bring up the points in this list. I added the Auric Mantle enhancement to the Blade Champion, giving that Blade Champion a total of 8 wounds, and I added 1 more Custodian Guard to that Custodian Guard unit, bringing the list up to a total of 1,995 points as of the current points October 2025. Stephen brought this list to the Warhammer World Grand Tournament on February 15th, 2025. Game 1 was against the Tyranids. This was a 97-38 win. Game 2 was against the Orcs, a 90-58 win. Game 3 was a mirror match with a perfect 100 score to 37. Game 4 was against the Blood Angels, 84-30. His final game was against the Tau Empire, an 89-43 win. The Adeptus Custodes win the Warhammer World Grand Tournament. Stephen got a total of 460 points out of 500. Congratulations, Stephen, for a Shield Host win. This is a very high skill list. No chaff, no wardens, but lots of speed and damage potential. No ranged anti-tank, just all melee death. I'm guessing he is using the high pressure and reactive ability of the list to keep his opponents on the back foot. The Blade Champion and Guard can sticky multiple objectives over the course of the game with Vigilance Eternal. The Venator can either start on the board or reserves, same for the Alaris, but one could be left on the table for turn 1 Golden Light if he wanted to. Virtus Praetors to help grab early objectives and pressure the enemy, using Sweeping Advance to get some huge movement for that turn. Episode 5, we have Nate's Shield Host list, currently coming in at 2,035 points. He won this tournament in February 2025. The Warlord was a Blade Champion with the Auric Mantle enhancement. For the other characters in the list, he had 2 more Blade Champions. One of those Blade Champions had the Panoptic Specs enhancement. For his battle line, he did have a 5-man unit of Custodian Guard, 4 Spears with 1 Vexilla, Misericordia, and Shield in that unit. For his other units, he did have 3 units of 5 Custodian Wardens, 5 Guardian Spears, and 1 Vexilla in each one of those units. 2 units of 3 Venatari with the Venatari Lances. He also had 3 units of 4 Witch Seekers. For his allied units, he had Inquisitor Draxus and the Calidus Assassin. To get this list down to 2,000 points, I dropped the enhancement and I dropped the 2x4 Witch Seekers for 2x4 Prosecutors. That brought the list down to 2,000 points as of October 2025. Nate won the Grim Dice 40K 2K tournament on the weekend of February 22nd and 23rd, 2025. Game 1 was against the Sisters of Battle. That was a 92-71 win. Game 2 was against the Space Marines, an 89-45 win. Game 3 was against the Orcs, a 96-31 win. Game 4 was the Eldari, an 82-55 win. And finally, Game 5 was against the Imperial Knights at a 97-67 win. Congratulations Nate for winning the tournament 5-0. He had a total of 456 points out of 500. This list has a simple but effective game plan. Grab the objectives and never let them go. Get these wardens onto the objectives, use the Venatari and Custodian Guard to take out enemy scoring units. The Venatari are fantastic ambush units. The detachment rule Martial Mastery gives this list scary melee. No anti-tank shooting in this list at all. Deploy this list in line of sight cover, advance the wardens from cover to cover, or a tempting advance and charge target is available. Use the Venatari to steal the enemy home objective or the expansion objective. Unit placement and being aware of how far the enemy can move and shoot will be key. Hold the primary with wardens, disrupt the enemy primary scoring while scoring secondary points with the assassin and Venatari if need be. Episode 6 was our first What's Winning Right Now Lines of the Emperor win. This win was by Ezra Blow. His list currently comes in at 1,965 points. This tournament was in March 2025. The Warlord was an Alara Shield Captain with the Ad Mighty Mortis enhancement in the Castellan Axe. For the other characters were 2 Blade Champions with no enhancements. Battle Line was a unit of 4 Custodian Guard with 4 Guardian Spears. For the other datasheets, he did have 2 Callidius Graph Tanks with the Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon, a unit of 2 Alaris with the Guardian Spear, a unit of 3 Alaris with the Guardian Spears, 2 units of 5 Custodian Wardens with the Guardian Spears in the Vexilla. For his Psychono units, he did have 2 units of 4 Prosecutors. For his allied unit, he did bring Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that Custodian Guard unit. To add some points to this list, to bring it up to 2,000 points, I added an enhancement to the Blade Champion Superior Creation to allow the Blade Champion to stand back up once per game on a 2+ with full wounds remaining. I dropped one of the 4 Prosecutor units and brought in a unit of 4 Woodseekers. And that will bring this list up to 2,000 points exactly as of October 2025. Ezra won the OTT 2025 tournament in March. Game 1 was against the Blood Angels. This was an 82-20 win. Game 2 was against the Imperial Knights, a 75-68 win. Game 3 was against the Orcs, 58-45. Game 4 against the Necrons was a very close win, 43-42. His final game was against the Astra Militarum, and that was a 96-69 win. Congratulations Ezra for that 5-0 GT win. The only player to go 5-0 with a total of 354 points out of 500. This list has some good screening for our home objective from the Prosecutors and the 2 Callidius Grav Tanks. Draxus can use her 18-inch Lone Op ability on a unit of Custodian Guard, use her anti-infantry shooting to take out any infantry units who come into the mid-board. The Alaris can either start on the board or in reserves, having the 3 Alaris unit to help pressure the center, and then in a later turn, use Unleashed Alliance with Golden Light for scoring. I myself like to put my Ad Mighty Mortis enhanced character in reserves, that way I can rapid ingress it to make sure I get into combat with the big bad of the opponent's army. Use the shooting in the list to soften up targets before charging them. Some enemy units may even get picked up from the shooting alone. I think that will also be the skill to this detachment. What can we shoot to death and what can we charge to death? If we can get multiple unit kills with one of our units in our turn, we will be in a great place. Not a super fast list, but it will clear out the mid-board and then rack up the primary points. Episode 7 was another Lines of the Emperor list, this time by Rory Andrew. His list right now comes to 1,960 points. He won the Grand Tournament in April 2025. His Warlord was Trajan Valoris. For his other characters, he did have an Alara Shield Captain with the Superior Creation enhancement, a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike with the Presidius enhancement, and another Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike with the Ad Mighty Mortis enhancement. His final character was a Blade Champion with no enhancement. For the battle line, he did have 3 units of 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Guardian Spears with 1 Vexilla, Misericordia, and Shield in each one of those units. The other datasheets, he did have a unit of 2 Alaris with the Guardian Spears, a unit of 4 Wardens with the Guardian Spears and a Vexilla, a unit of 5 Prosecutors, a unit of 2 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters. His final Psychono unit was a unit of 4 Woodseekers. For the allied units, he did have Inquisitor Draxus and another Inquisitor to join up with the Custodian Guard. This list was a pretty easy fix to bring up to 2,000 points. I just added one more guard model, and that will bring this list up to 2,000 points. This GT win was at the 36 Chambers number 4. Game 1 was against the Chaos Space Marines, a 92-57 win. Game 2 was against the Tyranids, a 99-35 win. Game 3, Chaos Demons, 90-48 win. Game 4 was a mirror match and a dominant 100-31 win. The final game, Game 5, was against the Imperial Knights. This was a 63-54 win. Rory Andrew wins the 36 Chambers GT. This list has lots of speed with the Virtus Praetors and the Blade Champion. Getting board control early to set up shooting lanes and start the pressure will be important. This isn't a hold the objectives and pray to the Emperor for our 4+ invulnerable list, it is an aggressive damage dealing list. Getting Draxus and the Inquisitor's unit on an objective early will really power up the shooting since they are joined with the Custodian Guard. The Custodian Guard models as well as the Inquisitors will get to reroll their wounds if we have this unit on an objective we control. Use the threat of the Bikes and the Blade Champion unit to keep the enemy from being too aggressive, while Trajan and the Alaris get into good staging positions for movement or rapid ingress. The Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with the Lone Operative enhancement can grab the expansion objective turn 1, while the Witchseeker scouts 6 inches towards the center. Having the CP available for Defiant to the Last and Gilded Champion will be the key to making engaging this list in melee counterproductive for the opponent. Episode 8 was a Solar Spearhead list by Thomas Cosgrove. This list comes to 2,000 points currently. None of these units have changed since Thomas won the tournament in April 2025. His Warlord was a Telamon with the Augury Uplink enhancement with the Arachna Storm Cannon and the Fist Weapon. For his other characters, he did have an Achilles Dreadnought with the Adamantine Talisman. His other datasheets, 3 Caladius Grav Tanks with the Heavy Blaze Cannons, another Telamon Heavy Dreadnought with the Arachna Storm Cannon and the Fist Weapon, 3 Venerable Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the Combi Bolter, Multi-Melta and Combat Weapon, 2 units of 4 Prosecutors, and 2 units of 4 Witchseekers. Thomas brought this list to the Red Dragon GT on Week 3, April 2025. Game 1 was against the Chaos Space Marines, a 94-50 win. Game 2 was against the Necrons, an 86-58 win. Game 3 was against the Eldari, 97-82 win. Game 4, the Tau Empire, a strong 97-29 win. And the final game was against the Death Guard, an interesting 87-87 tie. Even though Game 5 was a tie, Thomas was the only player without a loss, with a total of 461 points out of 500. This was right after the Solar Spearhead points nerf to a lot of the Dreadnoughts, and it was nice to see that the Solar Spearhead was still strong. All credit for this list goes to Thomas. This is more of a rough game plan for what this list can do and not what it did do. Like most of these Solar Spearhead lists, the game plan is quite simple. Control the mid-board, steal objectives, and stop the opponent from scoring. A lot of the time, these Solar Spearhead lists are not going to be able to table the enemy, but dominate on points. Once Thomas gets these Telamons on objectives, and the Atlas and Venerable Dreads making combat, all these tough units make it hard to get the objectives back. Episode 9 was back to Lines of the Emperor, and this list was played by Matthew Wood. List is currently 1,970 points. He won this tournament in July 2025. The Warlord was Trajan Valoris. For the other characters, we do have an Alaris Shield Captain with Admonti Mortis and a Blade Champion with the Superior Creation Enhancement. For the battle line is 3 units of 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Guardian Spears, and 1 Vexilla Shield and Misericordia in each one of those units. 2 Caladius Grav Tanks with the Twin Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon, a unit of 2 Alaris Custodians with the Guardian Spears, 2 units of 3 Venatari with the Venatari Lances, a unit of 4 Witchseekers, a unit of 4 Prosecutors, and for the allied unit we do have Inquisitor Draxus to join up with one of those Custodian Guard units. I needed to add some points to bring this up to 2,000 points, drop the unit of 4 Witchseekers so I could afford 3 units of 4 Prosecutors, and that brought this list up to 2,000 points. Matthew brought this list to the Ironweld Summer Assault GT. Game 1 was against the Tau, this was a 76-75 win. Game 2 was against the Leagues of Votan, a 95-50 win. Game 3 was against the Chaos Knights, a 70-58 win. Game 4 was against the Emperor's Children with a 55-36 win. Game 5, the final game, was against the Space Marines, a 73-56 win. Congratulations Matthew Wood on winning the Ironweld GT, going 5-0 with a total of 369 points out of 500. Once again, all credit goes to Matthew Wood for this list. I didn't write it, I didn't play it, so that's just a general game plan. Deploying the 2 grav tanks in line of sight cover, this will help screen our backlines and help keep the shooting lanes from being a shooting gallery of enemy units. No wardens in the list, I respect that. I knew the lines of the Emperor could work without using all wardens. Playing this list, the player has to be careful not to get caught in bad places. There are no wardens to 4+ fatal pain away a failed 9-inch charge or a wrong choice. Using the shooting of the list to soften targets, Matthew's list does not need to depend only on melee. I myself have played a similar list to this, double tap the Custodian Guard with +1 to wound and possible reroller wounds. This will wreck chaff and light to medium infantry. The opponent can't depend on using chaff to move block this list. This list will shoot the chaff off the board. It might work for the first turn, but this list is breaking through to the center of the board sooner than later. Lean on the detachment rule, shooting in melee with plenty of wound rerolls. The final episode of the year so far was episode 10, and once again was a Lines of the Emperor, played by Lee. He won this list in August 2025. This list currently comes in at 2,035 points. The Warlord was an Alar Shield Captain with the Castellan Axe and the Ad Monte Mortis enhancement. He had another Alar Shield Captain with his Superior Creation enhancement and a Guardian Spear. 2 Shield Captains on Dawn Eagle, one with the Fierce Conqueror enhancement, both with salvo launchers. The Alar Shield Captain with his Superior Creation enhancement, he ran as a solo character. For his other data sheets, he did have 2 units of 3 Alar's Terminators with the 3 Guardian Spears in each one of those units, 2 units of 3 Virtus Praetors to join up with the Shield Captains. Each of those units had salvo launchers. To finish off the Custodes in the list, we had 2 units of 4 Witseekers. The allied units, we had a Calidus Assassin for some points, and the big man himself, Canis Rex. To bring this list down to 2,000 points, I dropped the enhancement on the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle, and I dropped the 2x4 Witseekers for 2x4 Prosecutors. Lee brought this Lines of the Emperor list to the Grand Onslaught 10 Grand Tournament. The first game was against the Eldari, an 86-54 win. Game 2 was the Eldari again, and this time was a 74-40 win. Game 3 was against the Death Guard, and this was a very, very close 88-87 win. Game 4 was against the Space Wolves, 78-36 win. Game 5 was once again against the Death Guard, this time a little bit more dominant with an 84-74 win. Lee wins the Grand Onslaught 10 GT. There was another 5-0 Army Death Guard, but Lee had the higher opponent win percentage. This is an interesting list to give a quick general game plan. You could start everything on the board or have the Ad Monte Mortis Shield Captain Alaris unit and strategic reserves ready to rapid ingress onto the board. The 2 jet bike units can clear chaff and objectives while giving Canis Rex some anti-tank shooting backup. The Witseekers will scout into the middle objective. One may stay to babysit the home objective. Canis Rex will either help screen our back lines while shooting down the board or smash his way into the middle of the board, daring anything to get within charge range of the mighty knight. The shooting and overall damage of this list should be quite high. Who needs to hold objectives with tough warded units when you can just kill everything instead? I did not write or win the GT with this list, so this was a simple general game plan for Lee's list. That is all 10 episode list and the changes to the list to make them viable for the current points, as well as a general game plan. Next year in Custober 2026, we might be looking at some 11th edition lists. For now, let's move on to some final thoughts. Let's finish the video with some final thoughts. That was the What's Winning Right Now roundup. I tried to keep the changes in the list to fit the theme of the list. It was interesting to see how these list points have changed since they've won a GT. Some of the lists even got a buff to their points. We also seen how the Virtus Praetors were slowly added to the list over the Custodian Wardens. We had a nice mix of detachments. Lines of the Emperor has taken over the Custodes tournament scene. We still have wins with our other detachments though. Which list would you like to take to a tournament? Throw it down in the comments. Subscribe for battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40K content. Channel members gain early access and access to the channel Discord. Like always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.